Okay, so recently I stumbled across a video from a content creator called BranOnline. Now you guys have probably seen him, and you guys have probably seen this video because it's been absolutely everywhere, and it's been covered by people like Tectone, who have been pretty outraged by this, and I got pretty annoyed by this video as well, and wanted to talk about it over on this channel, because I think the state of Hoyoverse games and Hoyoverse content creation is getting a lot worse, and I wanted to kind of give my own opinions and give my own experiences and stuff like that as someone who used to be a Hoyoverse content creator, and just talk about why this video in particular is something that summarizes the Hoyoverse community and the Genshin Impact community as a whole at the moment, and why people need to change. But before I get into this video, don't forget to either like and subscribe, guys do enjoy it, and also go to game service, use my code CASA, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there, so I definitely recommend checking it out. Use my code CASA, 10% off, and yeah, let's get back into the video. So pretty much you can tell by the title of this video, it says why I'm not topping up in Genshin anymore. Now this actually came out less than a day ago, and it has outraged quite a lot of people. I think, 500 dislikes, that's kind of unusual for Bran to be getting on some of his posts. And well, there's one major thing to kind of point out here. If you look just above my head, you can see the title actually changed literally a couple of hours into the video's release, changing from the original why I'm not spending in Genshin anymore to why I'm not topping up in Genshin anymore. And pretty much Bran talks about in this video how, some parts of Genshin are slowing down a little bit for him, and that he feels like, he doesn't need to spend on every single character, and that it's kind of just like a waste, I guess, and that Genshin just didn't have that same kind of charm it did whenever it first came out for him and everything like that, which honestly I think is totally acceptable. And if someone wants to stop spending on Genshin Impact, I think that's totally fine, and if anything, that's a really good move, because again, a lot of people have been jumping ship. Content creators have been jumping ship lately. We've had a lot of old Genshin Impact creators and also some Honkai Star creators as well leaving the space, mainly due to the overall state of Hoyoverse games at the moment and the overall gacha content creation system. But obviously during this video, I'd respect it if he was to say, hey, I'm not spending anymore, I hope you guys can support that, stuff like that. That would be a very good video, and it would be very well accepted. But that isn't the reason why this video is getting a ton of dislikes. The main reason is because he actually is still going to spend, and that's one of the big things. He had this title saying why I'm not spending on Genshin Impact anymore, but then he went, oh, but maybe I'll get the Battle Pass, oh, but maybe I'll get the Welkin, and oh, okay, maybe I'll spend on a big character if I really like it. So you're still spending, you're spending less, but you're still spending. And obviously people were not very happy with that, and later on he even changed his title after Tectone, yes, the bold man, went and reacted to it. And obviously a lot of people went over to his comments and started commenting this kind of stuff, and then he changed it to why I'm not topping up in Genshin anymore, which again is still wrong, because he still said he will top up if there is a big character, he will top up if there's a character that he likes. Which again, it makes no sense, this video pretty much became pointless, and I think a lot of people are really frustrated with a lot of these Genshin Impact creators at the moment with the fact of them going a little bit half and half, and what they're doing is not actually calling out the things that are wrong with the game, but instead are kind of calling out things that just make the whole video kind of pointless, because again, the whole video, purpose was to talk about why he's not spending anymore, but the fact is that he's still spending, meaning that the video just doesn't have a point. And obviously this has been a big problem in the Genshin Impact community for a while, because, if you made a video talking about, why this certain system sucks in Genshin Impact and they need to fix it, or this certain system they need to change it, honestly, I think that would be much better for the community in general. And, that is something that, Genshin Impact creators should have been doing from the beginning, but they haven't, and now they've reached this point where they're getting burnt out. Because do you know the reason why he's getting burnt out? Do you know the reason why he's, slowing down on spending? It's because Genshin Impact hasn't released good enough updates to keep the players engaged and keep the players actually, feeling good about the game, because they haven't, and that's why a lot of content creators, a lot of people as well, are leaving the game. I used to play Genshin Impact for about 3 to 4 years. I've played it for a very, very long time, and I've even dropped in every now and again. I dropped in about last week. It was pretty horrible to play because of just all the exploration stuff. It was really hard to move around, but again, I've been playing for a very long time, so I know what the game is like. This isn't coming from someone who doesn't know how Hoyoverse operates, how Genshin Impact operates. I've played every single Hoyoverse game apart from maybe some of the really, really early ones. I played a bit of Honkai Impact 3rd, I played Genshin Impact, I played Honkai Star, I played Zenless Zero, I've been in the Hoyo Creators program. Heck, I think I'm even still in the Hoyo Creators program. I still haven't been kicked out, somehow. But again, I know how all of this works, and obviously, a lot of this isn't necessarily Bran's fault. A lot of this necessarily isn't some of the, content creators' fault. A lot of it is to do with the creator program systems and, a lot of the stuff that they got in place for creators, which kind of locks them in on one kind of subject. And that is another kind of point of the video that I wanted to get into, is that, you know, he was mentioning some stuff about endgame modes and things like that, which he really wanted to see in the game, and he felt like it wasn't going to happen. It's in Wuthering Waves. Why not make content over on Wuthering Waves when they literally have the stuff that you're talking about? And this happens all the time, not just with this video, you know, in particular, with other Genshin Impact creators as well, talking about, you know, oh, I really wish this was in the game. Oh, well, it's in the game. It's in Wuthering Waves. Go play it. Oh, well, no, but the co-op's bad. It's like, okay, like, are we really going to try to just avoid this? Like, you say you want something, and then you just say, oh, actually, no, I don't want it because, you know, it's in Wuthering Waves. It's really, really weird. And obviously, we all know the reason behind this is because, you know, they've been, you know, so locked into Hoyoverse related content, and they've been so locked into kind of doing Hoyoverse stuff that, you know, maybe they're a little bit either afraid to do it because, you know, they don't know how it's going to turn out, or Hoyoverse has some incentives to keep them playing Genshin Impact, keep them playing, you know, Honkai and stuff like that. Like, obviously, a good example that I've seen actually is Doro. Doro's actually been doing a really good job in terms of, you know, making Wuthering Waves content. I think he's pretty fair in terms of his analysis of, you know, the game. There's a couple updates where, you know, there's a slower patch, and he did mention it was a slower patch, but also, you know, there's some really good patches, and he didn't just go, oh, well, you know, Genshin Impact's better. It's not as good as Genshin Impact. No, he gave it a fair, you know, constructive thing, which honestly I think is really good, and I think that's something that Bran could do as well in the future. But obviously he is sticking a lot to the Hoyoverse content. I'm not sure if he's created any kind of Wuthering Waves videos in the past. I'm not sure. I barely even look at his channel, but, you know, if he has, then that is great. But I do think, you know, a lot of these creators do need to step out of this zone of just making Hoyoverse content and try some new gacha games out. I'm not even just saying Wuthering Waves. I'm saying some other games too. You know, there's so many other gacha games out there at the moment. Obviously, you know, a lot of the community has been enjoying Wizardry, kind of Limbus Company, other ones like that, which are a little bit different. And obviously, you know, they're not exactly like your Genshin Impacts and stuff. And I'm not saying, you know, people need to quit Genshin Impact in general, but just try out some other gacha games. You know, some communities will really like that. Obviously, the Limbus Company community was really receptive to Tectone's stream about him playing it. Wizardry has a little bit of a smaller fan base and stuff like that. So again, I don't really know how that'll turn out, but, you know, just kind of promoting other gacha games that, you know, could have a little bit of fun and could be a little bit of that breath of fresh air that they are looking for could be better. But pretty much overall, I'm willing to respect anybody that does anything with their account overall. You know, it is their account, it's their decision, you know, in terms of spending, and it is good that, you know, maybe he wants to step back from spending so much on Genshin Impact, but it's not, as the title says, it's not saying why I'm not topping up Genshin anymore. It's, you know, why you're kind of not topping up as much anymore, which again, it's a completely different thing. And also on the other side, I can also respect someone saying that they well a lot of money on, you know, gacha games and stuff like that, even including Genshin Impact. You know, as much as it pains me to say, if you actually, you know, whale on Genshin Impact, I still respect, you know, your choice in that, because you know, and you're pretty much, you know, admitting to the fact that you do spend quite a bit of money on the game, and that you'll continue to spend quite a bit of money on the game because, you know, for whatever reason, either you're addicted, you know, you really want the next character that's coming out or whatever. But this just seems like something that's kind of in the middle and almost like a little bit of cope. Just be like, oh guys, I'm not spending, but I am kind of spending. But like, I'm not spending, but I am kind of spending. It's just like, okay, let's just not go in the middle. Let's just say you are spending or not spending, or just not make a video at all, because again, it was a completely pointless video. Yeah, if these are the kind of videos that we are getting in the future for gacha content creation, then honestly, I think this space is kind of cooked. But for now, it seems like the community, you know, aren't very receptive to this. Obviously, it's still got 3.3 thousand likes. You know, he has a very loyal fan base, so, you know, it is to be expected. But it is very disappointing to see this from Bran, because I thought that maybe, you know, he actually did, you know, create a video talking about why he's not spending, and that he actually did stop spending on Genshin Impact, when in fact, you know, nothing has really changed overall, and it's just kind of a pointless video in general. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this, because I'm very interested to hear what you guys think, because again, it is just a little bit of a weird video. I thought, okay, like, what is going on here? Okay, so it seems like while I was recording this video, there's been a little bit of an update from Bran himself, literally the moment I was recording, with a video called Acceptance, where he talks about this issue a little bit more, and actually says he's not going to be spending on Genshin Impact anymore, which is great. I honestly think, you know, he's finally actually followed through with what he was saying about it, and he's saying he's going to go completely free to play from now on, and that, you know, the only thing that maybe he will get topped up on is if someone tops up his account for him for some reason, whether it's a viewer or something, which I do think is a little bit but, you know, it's not the biggest of deals as long as he's not the one topping up and actually following through with what he was saying about not spending on the game, which honestly I think is great. He also goes over some other stuff, including like Tectone. He says that, you know, not to send any hate or like accusations over his way, because again, at the end of the day, they just disagree, and I think that's a pretty mature way to actually handle it. He also talks about some stuff going on in his life about moving and everything like that and affording things, which again, honestly, I think this is actually a pretty good video, kind of owning up to the mistakes. And he said he was hypocritical, and he said that the last video just didn't make much sense either. And honestly, I think that's really good. And I think that hopefully in the future, we do see some better content coming out from Bran. As I said before, I was disappointed, but now I'm a little bit more, you know, ambitious for what's going to happen to the future and what's going to happen in the future for Bran and some other content creators as well. He also talks about Wuthering Waves as well, saying that he does actually cover it. And I did actually go back and check through his channel, and he does cover a lot of the story, and that's about it. He usually does the story and then maybe like a live stream reaction, something like that, which again, I do feel like, you know, he does create content on Wuthering Waves, but, you know, maybe, you know, a little bit more content on Wuthering Waves or just some other gacha games in general would be really nice to see from him. But again, you know, it's his channel, he can do whatever he wants. And overall, I'm very pleased with what is going on in this video and, you know, how he's actually addressed some of this situation. But if you guys enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.